Welcome to Soulful Conversations with Nadjejda. Thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited today. I have another fellow entrepreneur with me, Carmen Rosas, who's here. She's my guest today. Carmen is the mom of a 2-year-old. She's a legacy coach and estate planning attorney. She helps women reclaim their power, take back their lives, and create their legacies. I love that. Thank you for joining me today, Carmen.
Thank you, Nadjejda. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be here.
Yeah, definitely. So I know you're all about empowerment, which I love. And as you know, my audience are very much, we're all about, I created this platform about empowering women and to really empower women. So tell me, please share your journey to living an empowered life and wanting to leave a legacy for your daughter and all of those around you to live a purposeful life as well. Tell me, as you share that, I would like to know how and what made the shifts occur for you.
Sure. So, I think the real shift happened. It was shortly before my 30th birthday. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be 30. Like, I'm getting old, right?
No, your 30 is not old.
I know. Now as I get older, I'm like, that was, that was just like the very beginnings. But especially now, right? So I started thinking about what I was doing with my life and where I was going, what kind of impact I was going to leave, how I was going to be remembered and if I was living my life's purpose. And so I knew that I went the, educational route. I became an attorney. I started my own business. And at this point, when I started my, my empowerment, search, I was about 2 years into my business. So from the outside looking in, everyone thought, oh, she has it made. She's doing so great. I was in, a relationship and everything was fabulous. And then I just was like, you know what, maybe this attorney life isn't for me. Maybe I don't want to just be that traditional attorney who goes to work every day, who comes home. And I just felt like it was so boring. And I just had so much energy and creativity that I wanted to share with the world. So I dug deeper and I was like, I need to really start living with intention and focusing on where I want my life to go. And so fast forward 6 months after my 30th birthday, I found out I was going to be a mom. So hello universe, giving me that extra nudge to figure out what I was doing with my life. Now I was like, oh my gosh, I have a human that I have to set the best example for. Like, I'm going to be a role model, and what am I really doing with my life? Am I living my purpose? And so, I like to say motherhood saved my life, and not in the sense that I was like depressed or, at a bad place, but I was very complacent. Although I was thinking about, I want more for my life, I wasn't taking any action. And so becoming, a mom really pushed me to focus on, well, what do I want? Not what, my parents expect of me, not what my partner expected of me, not what society expected of me, but what do I want? Where is my personal power? And am I using that? And so that's basically what pushed me into this idea of, okay, what is my legacy? And at the time, I had already been doing estate planning for a couple of years. And now it was like, what is my legacy? What is my daughter going to remember me for? My grandkids, if I have them? It's almost crazy to think that far out. But every day you have a choice to figure out where your life will go and where it will be in 10 years. And just focusing in on that, knowing that I was making the decisions that best suited me, my life, and was soul fulfilling was kind of how I got into, the legacy coaching and the empowerment and things like that.
Wow. Yeah, that's very powerful. So isn't that something in some way where, like you said, it's not like you were going crazy out there, but knowing that you were going to be a mom and you wanted to set an example for someone really sort of like woke you up. Like, because kind of like you were saying, and I think many of us do that, where we know we want to, we know we have a purpose. We know we want more meaning in our lives and we want to do meaningful things. But yet we kind of like in some way waste time, or it's like, okay, later or whatever. But that's kind of said to you, okay, I need to do this now. I need to start looking into it.
Yeah. And even, with some of my clients, so I work with women, but a lot of moms who I'm like, okay, well, what are your dreams? Like, what do you want to do? Like, what is something that you didn't do that you put on the back burner because you became a mom? And for me, people are like, oh, motherhood is going to change your life. Like, it's your life is over. And for me, I was like, it's just beginning, because now I have something more to live for. And there was a purpose behind everything that I do. But yes, I'm like, if you want to go back to school, go back to school. Quit saying, oh, I'll wait till they graduate to go back. Like, it's okay for you to do it all and, become a mom. And it takes balancing and things like that, and building a tribe of, women and other people to support you. But it's possible to do it. And why put it on the back burner? Because what you say you're going to do tomorrow may never come. Like, tomorrow may never come is kind of my thinking. Because
yeah. And you know what? I have to say, I love that. I love what you just shared, because I think, especially for the audience, any moms here in my audience who have, because I have often, I'm not a mom. So sometimes I may feel like, I don't know how it's like, or they may be like, they can't relate to me, or thinking I can't relate to them. But it's just that I've often heard mothers say, oh, I can't do this because of my children. I can't do this because, and I love how you empower women, and that's what you're doing for yourself, to actually take care of them and to take action to have their dream life, to have their desired life, to do what they really wanted to do, and not use the kids as an excuse, but actually maybe even use them, like, not maybe, I think that's what I'm seeing you, is that using the fact that actually I want my daughter, and for somebody else it could be a son, or I want my kids to really be able to live a full life. And in order for me to do that, for them to get it, I need to be the example of it.
Yeah.
I think it's so powerful. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, so what does living an empowered life looks like and means to you?
So an empowered life is just owning your personal power, like doing what you want and living life on your terms. I think a lot of it, part of how I ended up in law school was because I was a first, generation college student. And, that was what you did. You become a doctor, you become a lawyer, you do something big. And so I became a lawyer, and I tried to drop out of law school twice. Because I wanted something more creative, something that was more soul fulfilling, right? I just felt like being in law school was very draining. And it's just a different kind of crowd. Everyone is constantly competing with each other. Everybody wants to be the best, which is great. But at the same time, it's like, okay, let's pull each other up and, support each other, lift each other up while you're climbing the ladder and whatnot. And so for me, it was starting to live my life based on my terms and my expectations for myself, and not expectations that were set by my parents or, other family members. And it's just putting aside those expectations that other people have of you, and just being the best version of yourself, and not comparing yourself to anyone else, and just owning who you are. Like, I think I did a post a couple weeks ago, and I'm an attorney, right? So I'm supposed to be very, very conservative, but I love cheetah print. Like, I love cheetah and leopard print. And so I posted a picture of me in this like leopard print dress and hot pink lipstick, because I love pink. My favorite color is pink.
I see that. Yeah.
But I posted it, and I was like, who cares if people are like, oh, she's an attorney, she shouldn't be doing that. It's kind of like, this is my life. This is what I love. This is what fills my soul. So why should I worry about what people are going to think about me? This is who I am, and I love who I am, and I'm confident in that. And I'm going to just keep living my life because no one else is living it for me. And so just owning that personal power and just, loving who you are, I guess.
Yeah, no, I can. And actually, I have to share something with you, exactly what you just shared. So at some point, although now I am back to working with women executives so they could be attorneys as well, I have to tell you, at some point I was doing career coaching, a lot of career coaching, life purpose. And then I was living in DC, so that's like a
it's like gray. It's gray, black, and white out there.
It's like professional. It's all about the politics.
Yeah,
it's very formal. Although you do have the a hip side to it too. But I remember at some point I was like, I don't want to work with with professionals, like in that sense, like the executive woman. I was like, to me, I was like, she's boring.
Like, I don't want to work with boring people.
Yeah, and I was like, and I don't think she can relate to me, and I don't think maybe I can't relate to her. Like I was like, really, and I remember talking to somebody who's an executive, a woman, and she told me, because that's the thing. I think sometimes, a lot of people don't open up. They don't want to really share themselves or. Yeah. So as she was hearing about what I was saying, she said to me, I don't think people here in DC are very much interested in like that type, or not that setting. Maybe you need to check yoga studio. And I have to say that I was like, you know what? I don't think and I even remember at some point when I was decided that I wanted to work with women entrepreneurs, I specifically said, I don't want to work with the woman who's an attorney who wants to set up her own practice, because I put them in that box because, like you said, like you're supposed to look a certain way, which is really not me at all.
Yeah.
Like I would relate to like the face and the, but really, and that's the thing. And I think many times society puts those things on us. And then we then think that, oh, well, if I'm an attorney or if I'm a doctor, and, we can't do certain things, or we can't present, it's sort of like we tend to hide that part of ourselves. And it doesn't matter. I mean, I know now you're a coach as well, but even if you didn't go into coaching, it would have been totally fine for you to share who you really are, even being an attorney, you know what I mean? And those are the attorneys that I want to work with.
Yeah. And, and it's just not even if it's like the leopard print dress or the hot pink, but it's like dressing business casual. Like, why do I have to be like, I love, like statement necklaces. So I have a black sweater and like a chunky necklace, like, and I'll go in and I'll meet with my clients and I'll wear this with jeans and flats, and I don't have to be in a suit. And my clients love me more because they can relate to me. They're like, oh, she's human. She's down to earth. Like, she can connect with us versus, I walk all in. I'm like, oh, well, I can't, I'm too good. Mm-hmm. Just, staying humble and, just being comfortable with who you are. And then your clients can better relate and you just are on the same, energy level.
Yeah. No, definitely. So, I'm all for that. I'm
like, yeah.
So I know empowerment and self-love are very important to you, and it's something you do, especially for mompreneurs. Well, in case my audience doesn't know, mompreneurs are a term that we use for women entrepreneurs who are mothers. Please tell me more about your thoughts on empowerment and self-love in your own empowerment work.
Yeah, absolutely. So about 10 months ago, I became a single mom, which was obviously it's not our plan. And at that point, I was like, okay, I had this partner, but now I have a child that's relying on me, and I had to kind of turn to the one person that I knew the best and knew that I could depend on. And that was myself. Mm-hmm. And being, a single mom and, my daughter's father's around, but just knowing that I was going to be the primary caretaker, I knew that I could only give so much of myself before I burnt out if I didn't love myself and take better care of myself on a soulful level, on a health level, whatever it is. And one thing that I do with my legacy and empowerment work is we kind of have these 3 pillars where we work on, the legal documents. So making sure that all your documents are in place to appoint a guardian or to protect the stuff that you're building, the business that you're building, the money in your retirement account, whatever it is, we protect that. And then we focus on, like legacy. How are you living? Are you intentionally living? Are you living with purpose? And let's see how we can better meet your dreams and goals so that your legacy is the way that you want. And then there's also this health and wellness part of it where your temple and your mind need to be well taken care of, right? And so with that is the self-love, like loving yourself fully, all of your flaws and imperfections, but also taking the steps to care for yourself on a daily basis, whether it's reading personal development books, whether it's going for a run, it's meditating, doing yoga, whatever it is, it's that self-love to, refill your cup so that you can continue putting your message and your story out into the world, taking care of your kids, climbing the corporate ladder, building your business, but just maintaining, you know, that vessel in the best condition possible. And so we kind of do this all around, I guess, coaching and work, you know, that incorporates the empowerment, because by owning your decisions, right, and owning the action and taking action, you probably can relate to this, it is empowering, because you're like, oh, I am in control of what happens next. I'm in control of my life. And then by knowing that you're in control, you learn to love yourself more, because you are the only person that you need to rely on fully. And then by doing that, you move into the legacy, or, you know, the inspired action that you want to take.
Yeah. No, yeah. Thank you for that. So I know for the moms out there, I know for you, your daughter is very important for you, and you have your business, you're a coach, you're an attorney. How do you make self-care, self-love a priority with your responsibilities? Because I think sometimes, because I know sometimes I've talked to people and they're like, well, you just don't understand, you're not a mom, or maybe, or sometimes I may be thinking, okay, I don't know if they'll get me because I'm not a mom. Because I think sometimes, even when we say to put ourselves first, I think a lot of people take it, especially when you're single, if you don't have a child, they may think that, oh yeah, that's very easy for her to say. So, but, I'm just curious for you, how do you make that a priority in your life?
Well, to be honest, you have to love yourself enough to make the time. I love my daughter enough to make the time, because if you don't fully love yourself, you won't make the time, you'll make excuses. Mm-hmm. So for me, I drop my daughter off. So I know that, she's up at around 6 or 7. I can't get anything done. For those of you with a 2-year-old or any child under probably the age of 5, you know that nothing gets done until the kid is at school or at daycare. So I drop her off at 8 a.m. I come home and I'll usually journal, enjoy, like a cup of coffee. I'll sit outside or something like that and just focus on me. 20 minutes. I write a little bit, kind of figure out my to-do list. I'll do yoga if I feel like it. I try to get out and hike at some point throughout the day to just, re-energize and ground. For me, being outside and in the sunshine is important. Like today's a little bit cloudy and I feel my energy down. So I'm like, okay, I need to get outside in the fresh air just to kind of, boost that up. But for me, it's just scheduling time, and it can be 20 minutes, so I know that, okay, I drop my daughter off. I have about 30 minutes to an hour to kind of focus on me, get ready before I really start my day and get working. And then I pick her up around 4:30. So I'm doing work throughout the day, but I'll fit in a hike or something like that. And then I make sure, so, we were talking and I go to LA a lot. And so when I go to LA, I have a bunch of girlfriends there. And so what I do is my daughter stays with my mom or with my parents, and I get to go, I do work, but then I have like a girls' night out and I get to hang out with my girlfriends who are also moms. And we just take the time to support each other. We don't talk about kids. We're all entrepreneurs. So we're all mompreneurs. So we end up talking about business, but it's almost like, I like to say, like a Sex in the City kind of get together where, we can talk about guys, we can talk about relationships. Yeah. And, we just have like these like great belly laughs. Or once a week, once a month, I try to meet another girlfriend for brunch. She's a new mom. She's a stay-at-home mom, but we'll meet for brunch because we're still women and we're moms and we can connect on that level. And just being a woman in today's society, we have to support each other and we have to, be that outlet. And so having an outlet is also very important. So girlfriends, like don't lose your friends as much as you're like, and I'll tell you what, especially for the moms, if you are in yoga pants with spit up and food and clothes all over, your friends don't care. Have them come over, let the kids make a mess in the house. It'll be okay. Like everything works out. And I think that's one thing for me is I'm not going to freak out if my daughter dumps all of her toys on the floor. I'm not rushing to pick them up because in 2 hours after I clean them up, she's going to be doing it again. And I don't care. And so I'm not going to, stress myself out and focus on, that part of, oh, I need to make sure my house is like, it's not dirty, but it may be messy because the toys are everywhere. But, you know, not making that a huge deal. It's okay if the dishes don't get washed one night because you want to take a 20-minute bath. Like, giving yourself permission to love on yourself and re-energize. And again, taking care of the vessel that needs to support these, you know, little ones and your business, and taking care of the household, because, you know, as women and moms, we have a lot on our shoulders. So just giving you permission and knowing that it's okay to take 20 minutes a day to yourself. 20 minutes a day to yourself, minimum.
I know. And that's the thing. And I think, you know, sometimes I've heard people say, oh, you know, it's so hard to do. But what you said, there's something that you said that I think is so powerful, is when you said you have to love yourself enough. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's what happened, unfortunately, is that many of us don't love ourselves enough to actually do, give ourselves that time. And I think even for women who, then that can be for women who's an entrepreneur, or even if she's working for somebody, I think also is around setting boundaries with even your own children, like women who have older children. Because, you know, I mean, if maybe a 3-year-old might be different, but like with a teenager or a 7-year-old, like, okay, this is mommy's time. And I think a lot of women feel bad about it, or they just don't do it. It's like, you don't understand. So like you said, you have to definitely, that is huge. You have to love yourself enough to want to do this.
And even, you know, just the boundary setting, like that is key. Like having your own time boundaries and say, you know what, at 7 p.m., if you're not sleeping from 7 to 7:30, that's mom's time, where I'm going to take a bath, or I'm going to go and read a book by myself, or I'm going to meditate or do 30 minutes of yoga or whatever it is, but setting those boundaries. And for kids, you know, I have a girlfriend who, she does parent coaching. And, you know, I'm always like, how do I get my 2-year-old to understand? She doesn't understand what I'm saying. And she goes, she does. They understand. But the key for moms is talking. Say, you know what? Mom is really tired right now and I need to do this. So just give me a few minutes and I'll, you know, be back with you in, 20 minutes or in 10 minutes. Like, let me just take a breather. But just explaining to them, like, oh, you want mommy to read you a book? Well, I need to go and read my book first and then come back to you, but those boundaries are really, really important.
Yeah. And, I want to share something, and I wonder if you can relate to that. Because when you said that, I was like, oh my God, when you said the thing about loving yourself enough. So I'm really tired. Like I've been, there's been a lot going on with the lunch. I was at a seminar, and, I've been like, it's this week that I'm sort of like getting back to getting to bed at a certain time. So yesterday I was like, I'm going to be like at 10 o'clock, I have to be off social media, like everything, like basically disconnect so I can. And last night, but then I got a call, which was really a good call that I needed to get on. But then the call didn't last that long, it was probably towards like 10:45. But anyway, one of the things I've said to myself, and I think it's because I'm aware of it, is that when I noticed that it was 11:30 and I was no longer on the call, but I was still like, I said to myself, like, you're not loving yourself right now. Yeah. Like I really got that, okay, I'm not loving myself because in this moment, because I know my body needs the rest. And I know, I said I was gonna, and I'm not honoring my word to myself.
Right.
And that's the thing is, and I think when we become aware of it, then we can be like, okay, because probably there was a time I think like, well, whatever, I wouldn't even be thinking that's me not loving me in this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And, they say that, what is it, the quote, the way you treat yourself is the way other people would treat you. So if you're not honoring your word to yourself, if you're not honoring, what boundaries you're setting for yourself, go to bed at this amount of at this time, get in this amount of exercise, drink this water, do these actions to build your business, then, and you're being inconsistent, you also have that subconscious thinking, right? Where you're like, oh, I screwed up again, or here I go again, I didn't do it. And that energy passes on to people, and other people come in like, she doesn't even, keep her word to herself. Why do I have to keep my word to her? And then it just becomes, a cycle. And until you break it and you love yourself the most,
Mm-hmm.
then, you know, people will start respecting and, you know, those boundaries and things that come along with it.
Yeah, and definitely, because actually exactly what you said, it shows up in our lives.
Yep.
You know, where, okay, maybe, you know, I know for myself, I was like, okay, yeah, but I'm always on time. I would say that before. I'd be like, I'm always on time. Like, I respect. One of the things I noticed was that I noticed a few years ago that I was honoring my word a lot more when it came to others, but when not the word to myself as much, you know, or I wasn't as consistent with it.
Yeah.
You know? But then with other people, and then I would wonder, why is it that, you know, I would get certain, you know, situations where people were not ordering the word to me. It's because there were places where I wasn't honoring my word to myself, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think, you know, self-awareness is great. And I actually just made a comment to somebody about that the other day, how I want to honor my time boundaries in terms of, I guess it's scheduling. So I'll schedule things and then I won't do it. I'm like, oh, I need to write, you know, 5 new blog posts. And then I'm like, it comes up in my calendar and I'm like, I'll do it later. But the only thing that I'm, you know, I respect is when I have a client meeting or a client call, then I'm there because someone else is depending on me. And I'm like, well, that same accountability I need to show to myself, because, you know, things will go better because then I won't be overwhelmed. Oh, I haven't published any content, or, oh, I haven't done X, Y, and Z, you know. Then you reduce the overwhelm. When you commit and you honor yourself in your own word, life is so much easier.
Yeah, because a lot of times we also spend so much time feeling bad.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
But, you know, what you said about awareness is so important, and I think that's one of the things, like, especially, I wonder, you will relate to this as a coach, or I think anyone who's doing work in themselves, is that we have really learned, I know for me, that I think sometimes people think that, oh yeah, you know, it's easy for them to make those changes. No, because really, I think more than anything, if we don't have it perfect, it's just that we've built our awareness. You know, I often say transformation cannot occur without awareness.
Right.
The thing is that we hope that we're not like, okay, I'm aware of this, and then I do it again and again and again. I need to be aware and then transform it.
And that's the key, you know, it's like, it's this idea of awakening, right? It's like, oh, people are, you know, the new phrase is like, stay woke, right? Like, wake up, become aware of who you are and what you're doing, and once you establish that awareness, it doesn't go away. And so it's a constant reminder of, you know, be better, do better, and make these changes that are necessary for you. And I think as coaches, because we coach our clients, you know, and we have been, you know, trained at some level to, you know, work through these transformations. We have to be even like hyper aware. We have to be more aware than our clients, so that we know what we're bringing into our calls, what we're bringing into, you know, our sessions, so that it's, you know, it's essentially not a win-win, but we're respecting and honoring our clients' time and leaving our issues and our flaws to the side. And it's, you know, we're not perfect, we're far from it, but we are hyper aware. Like, we are super aware beyond probably more than we want to be half the time, because we're like, oh, there it goes again. Let's do something about it. Oh, we need to shift it a little bit more this way because we went too far, you know, right, or whatever it is.
Yeah, definitely. So tell me, we've gotten to the part where I ask these questions to most of my guests. What do you stand for in life, and why?
Oh, for me, I think it's a big deal for me, right? It's just intentional living. I think, you know, especially as a mom, it's easy to get set on autopilot, to just kind of go with our regular day-to-day activities. And I do it, but I also, you know, again, with like the self-care, I make a note of, okay, you know what? I just kind of went through the motions today. Did this serve my purpose? Did I serve my purpose today? Was it soul fulfilling? And so for me, it's just, you know, knowing your why, what you want to leave, what you want your legacy to be. You know, I do these vision board workshops where we create our, you know, dreams and whatnot, but I also do kind of a morbid exercise on our obituary. Like I have my clients write out their obituary and, you know, it's like, okay, if you were to die today, what would people say about you? Okay, what are your dreams and goals? Okay, now let's rewrite your obituary based on the dreams and goals that you have. How are we going to get from point A to point B? And let's make every day intentional and, you know, working towards, you know, the new obituary and those dreams. And I think that, you know, genuine happiness and just, you know, love of life comes when you're living life on your terms and you take each day and there's at least some point where you know that you've made a decision to intentionally do a certain thing. So yeah, maybe you show up to your 9 to 5 and you have to do these things because your boss expects you, or you have these client calls and you do it because your clients expect you to, but, you know, making at least at some point you're working in a job for a nonprofit that's doing community work. And so because of that, you know, you're impacting the community, or you're doing these coaching calls and these client sessions, but you're empowering women and you know that you're helping them to create better lives for them and their children. And so it's just being able to kind of balance it out and not just being set on autopilot, but intentionally, you know, doing things.
Yeah.
So that I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I like that. What are your thoughts on life purpose? Well, for somebody who deals with legacy and we talk about what it is, do you have one? And if you mind sharing it with us, if you believe you found well, you know, even though I think it can change over time.
Yeah.
Being a mom is your purpose, one of your purposes for sure.
Yeah, you know, and so I think life purpose is, you know, so important. For me, what I realized, so I'm multi-passionate. I have my attorney practice, I have my my coaching practice, and now I'm working on actually starting a nursery school. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So, you know, just the combination of it, and I think about, you know, so my life purpose, you know, on a grander scale is to empower women to create legacies, you know, live impactful lives and leave their imprint on the world so that it's exactly as they want it. And what I realized, a common theme that I have in both my estate planning, my coaching, and this school is personal power and getting people to own their personal power so that they can make a better impact in the world and live happier lives. So I feel like if I had to pick my life purpose, it would be, you know, empowering women to, you know, create legacies in the lives they want. And so women being my daughter, who will soon grow to be a woman, and being the best role model for her and the person that she looks up to, you know, maybe a stranger on the street who I just have a quick conversation with. But knowing that whatever I do, I'm there to uplift and help women to create their legacy. So, you know, they're leading impactful lives.
Yeah, yeah. So thanks for sharing that. Yeah. That's a great purpose. And I definitely see you doing that, you know, with your posts and everything. Actually, when you said the thing about asking them, because I think you posted that as a status update before, where you put, if you were to die today or whatever, what would people say about you? No,
yeah, I do. You know, it's a core, I guess, like statement that I ask all of my clients. I do in all of my workshops. It's, if you were to die today, 1, what would people say about you? And 2, would your children really know who you are? Because, you know, we lose ourselves and it's like, oh, that's my mom. Well, what does she like to do? You know, like, oh, her favorite color is pink. Are you sure her favorite color is pink? You know, or it's, you know, just trying to know people on a deeper level, or, you know, and connecting at a deeper level with your children, and that human connection that, you know, gets lost a lot of the time.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I don't know if you know that quote by Lisa Nichols. I just love it, where I may not have it exactly like word for word, but it basically says your biggest fear is not to die. It's not dying. Your greatest fear is to die without the world getting to know the real you.
Oh, I love that.
I think that's what, in some way, that's sort of like what you're doing. Because I know for me, the more I've taken time to get to know myself, the more I want to share of myself. Because when I do pass on from this earth, when I transition, I really want people to get to know the real Nadjejda, the real me, not like, you know, the one who used to wear a suit or whatever, you know. Like, me. I get that.
And that, I think, it goes along with your question about self-love. It's like loving yourself enough to put yourself out there and knowing that you can be vulnerable and people may judge you and people may criticize you because it's not the norm or you think you're weird or whatever it is, but loving yourself enough to know that that's okay. And that you can put yourself out there and own it, just that empowerment, your personal power, owning who you are and letting the world know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So what do you believe the world needs more of? And if it had more of it, or maybe if it doesn't have it at all, but if we were to have it, it would make a huge difference in our world.
I think the world needs more love. I guess it would be more, even self-love, because along with that, would be less judgment. And so I think, as women, we're always comparing ourselves. We are criticizing others, and it's almost, we were essentially trained this way, right? Because this is the way that our society brings up our young girls, and just loving yourself more. So again, it doesn't matter what somebody else is doing or what somebody else says, like what you're doing and you're okay with it. And then just judging others less, especially as moms. There's the whole breast is best. Don't give them formula. Use cloth diapers. Don't use this. Screw it. Get the kid to survive. Who cares the way you do it? Whatever works best for you. Because someone, when I first found out I was pregnant, I had this plan. I wanted to I wanted to breastfeed my daughter. I was going to use cloth diapers. I was going to do, all of these things because I wanted to be more organic and not expose her to chemicals. I'm a working mom who was not going to be able to change cloth diapers and make sure that I could do a wash every single day. I was able to wash. My daughter didn't latch, so I had a pump that I used to get her breast milk, but I was okay that I had to give her formula at 6 months because I did the best that I could. And so a lot of it is just loving yourself. If more people just love themselves more and were less critical and knowing that they were doing the best that they could. So the other thing is, you love yourself as you are, but know that you're always working towards the better version of yourself is also key. Yes. So it's finding that balance. It's like, oh, I'm who I am. I don't care. I'm unhealthy and I, drink a soda and eat a Snickers for breakfast and who cares? This is who I am. I love myself. Well, you want to be a better version. You want to make sure that you're preserving your temple and your vessel and you're, maintaining and taking good care of it. So maybe a Snickers for breakfast is not the best idea. I'm not going to judge you, but I want to support you in creating healthier habits. So it's loving yourself, but also knowing that you're loving yourself into the best version of yourself. And so I think self-love it would change the world, right? There would be less arguing, less drama because people will love themselves so much that they're like, I just love you too because you're who you are and that's it.
You know what? Wow. I love this because, often we hear people say love, people say compassion. And even for me, I say that, understanding. I've heard, especially since I've been doing these interviews, I've been hearing tolerance, acceptance, and I love the fact that you say self-love because I also believe that the more we love ourselves, the more we can love other people. Which then brings love. And that's why, we live in a society that doesn't make self-love a priority. Actually, sometimes it's called being selfish. And, and sometimes you do need to be selfish in that sense if they want to call it selfish. But I totally agree with you. That is so, so true that if we loved ourselves more, there would be more love in the world because we would be less judgmental because really our judgment of other people it comes from us not loving ourselves much, Yeah.
And it's even when people pick arguments, right? Or they judge you, and it's like you have to remember too that what their criticism or their snarky remarks is their personal issue because they're dealing with a part of them that they don't love and they're projecting it onto you. So it's not even your issue; it's their issue. Yeah. And by loving yourself more, you become more tolerant of other people because you realize, okay, they are projecting. And so I'm not going to judge them. I'm going to support them and help them to love that part of themselves that they're trying to attack me with. So it's just kind of this, you know, cycle. You love yourself, you become more tolerant, less judgmental, and more compassionate because, you know, everyone has their own story and they're coming from a different place.
Yes. And I often say too, you're not looking for them to love you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if you don't love yourself, you're looking for love in all the other places.
Outside.
So when they don't love you, when they're not, you know, they might love you, but when in this moment they're judging you or they're lashing out at you or they're just like, leave me alone, you don't feel like, oh, like you're alone, nobody loves you, you don't have love because you give that love to yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. And self-love is, you know, is internal. Like, and that's why going back to one of your questions, like what was, you know, at what point did it change? Or I forget what the question was, but it was the
one that I said, how did, you know, when it shifted, when things shifted for you?
Yeah. And that was when I was like, you know, I became a single mom and it's like, okay, this partner that I was with for 11 years is no longer here. So the only person I have left now is myself. You know, I have my daughter, but, you know, babies, there's issues there. So it's like going back, it's internal. And once you love yourself and it comes from an internal place, nobody can ever take that away from you.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. And you know what? And it's like, you know, I'm looking for this thing that somebody sent me the other day. You know, it's so, you know, I don't know if you've seen that quote. I think it's Cheryl Richardson that says that, you know, the more, like, love yourself because the relationship that you'll always have, the person who will stay with you the longest is you.
Yeah.
Like that's your, you know, sometimes we think the relationship with our children or our partner, like that's the most important one because, well, you don't know, like something can happen, you know, and they're gone or they don't want to be with you anymore, whatever it is, when really the only person that's going to be with you forever and ever, amen.
Yeah. Is you. You know? You were born with yourself and you'll die with yourself and that's it.
Yeah. So someone sent me something that says so many years of education, yet nobody ever taught us how to love ourselves and why it's so important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's so great because I don't know how many years of school, college, and then law school. And it wasn't until I was in business for myself, I became an entrepreneur that I was like, holy cow, what's going on? You know, let's figure this out. You know, it's not something that can be taught through school. It's, you know, it's just, you know, showing, you know, love to others and.
Yeah. So Carmen, so thank you. We were done with the question.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. I want to give you the opportunity to tell people about, you know, your work, more about you, where they can locate you, and if you have any offers. And I'm also going to be posting, you know, on my website when I feature Carmen's interview, you're going to have all her social media, website info, and if she has any current offers, but I'll let her share that.
So I guess you can find me. My email is, or I guess my website is Carmen Rosas, so just my name.com. And it's being revamped right now, but by the time this, the info goes out, you will, it should be up and running. But CarmenRosas.com, I have a couple of business. So the way I have it set up is I have my estate planning, my law practice, and then I also have my coaching business. And the coaching is Empower Yourself. So it's EMPOWHER, yourself. And then the law practice is Carmen Rosas, ESQ. So that's the handle for both of those. And then my legacy and just kind of my own personal, like Instagram is I am Carmen Rosas, but I'm all over social media. I have a blog. I'm everywhere. If you type in my name, attorney, then you will be able to find me, I promise, somewhere or another, and everything is linked to everything else. But so my practice, I do estate planning, which is living trusts and wills. And then I also do business entity formation. So if you are new to the business realm and you want to start a new business, I can help with that as part of the legacy building and planning. And then with the coaching, you know, it's just, we do sessions on, you know, your life purpose and your intention and where you want it to go. And then also with the Empower Yourself, We're in the process of getting into community organizations such as, battered women's shelters, or working with teen girls and body image issues. And so in that sense, we're just trying to get those women to, and the girls to, love themselves, re-love themselves, learning to love themselves without the bullying from either a partner or classmates, etc., and just owning who they are. And then again, working towards being a better version of themselves. But that's what I do. And I love it. And, I just want more women just to, own their power, and live a life that they love and create, the legacy for their children, and just really focusing on how they want to be remembered and the type of impact and imprint that they want to leave in the world.
Yes, thank you. So if you had one last thing to say to women, it could be mothers or women, wherever, what would be your one last message to them?
It would be love yourself and own your power. Because those surprisingly go hand in hand. And I think that, those are so important. I did forget to mention that I have a legacy planning guide that I'll get over to you so we can share with the audience. And then I'll have an offer for them. I don't know what it is yet. I have to think about it, but I'll come up with something specific for them. So
good, great.
But yeah, it would be love yourself and own your power.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Carmen. And thank you everyone for joining us. And who knows, maybe you'll come back again, right?
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So love and light to everyone, and take care. Bye.